Don't make this common LTV mistake. Let's find out in today's edition of SaaS Metrics School. Welcome. My name is Ben Murray. So, get this question a lot from my communities, my student communities at the SaaS Metrics Foundation course. And with LTV, this is a point in time metric. This is not an aggregate, my entire customer base type of metric, because we are estimating at a point in time what we expect to get from that customer. Really, I think about it as the cash flows, those total cash flows from that customer at a point in time. And this is a sales and marketing efficiency metric. And with that, we are again estimating the efficiency of that process. So LTV, let's get to the basics here. With LTV, the formula is cohort ARPA or cohort ACV, and that's the important number we'll talk about today, times gross margin, the appropriate gross margin, divided by churn. And we'll talk about that churn input because that's an important number as well. So it's a point in time metric because I talk about cohort ARPA, cohort ACV. And again, it could be those 20 customers that we acquired last month. What is that average ARPA, average ACV that we're acquiring from those customers? Is it 10,000? Is it $500? We need enough volume of data flowing through our acquisition channels to make this a valid metric. Because if we're in an enterprise business and just acquire one customer a month and that ACV changes every month, well, we're going to have a pretty sporadic, very, LTV number that's all over the place. So that's why it's a point in time metric. We're looking at that latest month or maybe the trailing 3 months to get a good ACV that we feel is solid. Otherwise, it's just all over the place. So that's why it's a point in time metric. We're looking at the latest acquisition, what ARPA or ACV that we're getting times, say, subscription gross margin. Now we have to adjust this if we have subscription and usage, and I cover that on my blog. But that's why it's a point in time metric. We're looking at those cohorts of acquisition. Now, what churn number should we use? In the denominator, we have a percentage churn. I use 1 minus gross revenue retention as my churn number. And there's some debate here. You see a lot of folks use the logo retention, but I feel like I need to be consistent mathematically. And of course, I'm no math major here, but with a numerator, we're using a dollar-based number, right? We're putting cohort ARPA, and that's a dollar-based number. And I want to use a dollar-based retention number or churn number below. Because again, gross revenue retention is we're accounting for churn and contraction within our customer base. And again, that's also a number that we have to look at. What is the current proxy of retention? I probably don't want to look at a 12-month retention number because maybe my retention profile has changed over time. And that's why metrics can be very subjective. There are a lot of nuances here with cohort ACV. And then am I taking my trailing 3-month retention or churn number? Am I taking my trailing 6-month? Again, that's where you have to decide what's that best proxy for our retention profile at this point in time, because we're saying when we acquire a customer, it's based on the company today and how that customer is going to interact with us. Not 12 months ago when our retention was better, maybe the product changed, maybe our support got worse. It's today. And those are those little nuances with all SaaS metrics. Now, final point here, when is LTV applicable? Of course, we're always going to compare LTV to CAC because we need the context. LTV alone isn't enough. But when should we implement LTV and LTV to CAC within our business? Now, I find within enterprise businesses, if we're only acquiring one customer a month, a couple customers, and 1 month, they're paying us $500,000. That next deal, that's $200,000. Well, LTV is going to be all over the place, so it's less applicable. But if we're targeting mid-market customers, say we're getting 10, 15, 20 customers a month, and also SMB, maybe 100 users, 500 users that we're acquiring a month, then it's highly applicable. Especially I've seen with those low price point businesses, the self-service, low price point, high volume, they live and die by the LTV to CAC metric because they're spending hundreds, millions of dollars on paid ads and paid acquisition, and they're constantly refining. And if their LTV to CAC drops in one acquisition channel, they're going to reconfigure that and spend a little different ways there. So I think very applicable in SMB mid-market motion. Enterprise, I'm going to calculate, but I'm going to look at other metrics instead. So again, lots of nuances with LTV. So we have the proper formula, nuance foundation in place so we can make this useful within our business. So if you enjoyed this edition of SaaS Metrics School, I'd love a rating and review. That just helps the distribution reach a broader audience with these tips and tricks on SaaS metrics and finance. Thanks a lot.